All right, so now we have a general sense of BAIMAP, what it is, and how we map the spatial coverage that was submitted to us by providers, and how we've combined those to make a layer that shows us the high quality internet access versus the lighter, less than 5 megabits per second service, and then also where the areas are where there's nothing but cellular or satellite. But what we don't know yet is what the impact of those service gaps are. And so now I'm just going to zoom into Mattawa. This is about 60 kilometers east on Highway 17 of the city of North Bay. So Mattawa is here in the center. Just a reminder that this green is a good internet access, so that's probably DSL or cable that delivers better than 5 megabits per second. Anything in red is less than 5 megabits per second, so this is probably lighter speed DSL. And down here clearly is fixed wireless. This is Papineau-Cameron, the township of Papineau-Cameron. Over here is the township of Calvin, and up here is Matawan. So just briefly to describe this area a little bit, Mattawa is a fairly compact village. It has, although fairly small in population, has a density of households there, so it's easier to serve. So that's why DSL and cable is delivered there. Out here is considerably more rural. So Calvin and Papineau-Cameron are rural townships, and Matawan is even more rural and given and less population. I think there's about 100 households total in the whole township, and also very rugged. So this is the Laurentian foothills up here, so very difficult to serve from an infrastructure, whether it's from fixed wireless or running cable for DSL, cable or fiber. But again, this doesn't really give us a sense of the impact of the broadband gaps. We have a bit of a sense because we know that the village, for example, is fairly well served, but the rural communities are considerably less served. So this is where we bring in an important base map for us. Let me just turn off some of the layers here just for clarity. So right here is the digital parcel that we purchased a license from MPAC from. So this is the physical outlines of every property. There's about 506,000 properties under the Assessment Act in Northern Ontario. So this gives us the physical boundary of the properties, the polygons of the properties, but also the classifications of the properties. MPAC uses 800 different classifications of the properties that are very specific, but we've summarized those categories into the list on the right-hand side here. So anything in green is agricultural, pink is commercial, orange is government, red is industrial, purple is institutional, so that would be schools, government buildings. Yellow and light yellow are residential properties. The deeper yellow is full-time residential properties, and the lighter beigey yellow, I guess you could say, is the seasonal properties. And anything with the spotted hatch marks are vacant lands. So the power in BAIMAP really is being our ability to merge, and this is what GIS allows us to do, is merge two different files and query those files to give one result. So this is what we've done with our BAIMAP analysis. So in all of Northern Ontario, we've taken those merged files that say better than 5 megabits per second, and we say, okay, how many properties and what are the properties that this better than 5 megabits per second service touches? And so too we did with the less than 5 megabit per second coverage files. We know all the properties that coverage touches, and maybe even more importantly, we also know the properties that there is no fixed broadband coverage for. So I'm just going to turn this off and hope that this maybe gives you a little bit better of an indication. So this is a combination layer then. So any property in green has that better than 5 megabit per second service. So we're not terribly concerned with these properties. Anything in orange has service, but it is less than 5 megabits per second. so they're of concern to us. And then in the red is the properties that have no fixed broadband service, so have to rely on more expensive services for broadband. This is at the heart of it. This is a large 506,000 row spreadsheet. This summarizes the broadband connectivity for every property in Northern Ontario. Each of them have a unique roll number, the very detailed property type, address, whether they're residential, vacant, commercial properties, what community they're in, who the ICTN is, in this case it's Blue SkyNet, and also the capacity, the best possible service that this property can access. We just, by the way, we've also used that as the basis for our availability tracker on connectednorth.ca, which is a broadband information portal. So just go ahead and search one property that was in that map on the last screen that I showed you. 4,162A on Highway 17. It has Bell DSL as well as fixed wireless through Net Spectrum. The Net Spectrum service delivers less than 5 megabits per second, and the Bell DSL delivers better than 5 megabits per second, and also gives contact information. So this is available for the public, anyone who has internet access. So if they're realtors, people moving to the area, they're able to look up the service at the property level. Back to our big analysis spreadsheet, we've done a variety of roll-ups. The one we use most is of the 150 municipalities and the unorganized communities in Northern Ontario. We're able to do these summary tables. So in Papineau-Cameron, looking across here, there's 298 properties that can get better than 5 megabits per second. So those are properties that are basically spread out along Highway 17. And looking down the rows here, 161 of them are residential properties, and 11 of them are seasonal. In the less than 5 megabit per second category here in Papineau-Cameron, looks like there's 138 residential properties that can get less than 5 megabits per second, 331 properties total. And again, if we look down, we've broken them out by category, whether they're agricultural, commercial, and so on. And in Papineau-Cameron, 217 total properties have no access to fixed broadband service, and that's a total of 25%.